Hi, my name is Debbie Long, and I wanted to review with you the answer to this question. It's a question I receive frequently from my broker students. The question is, do I need to take an ethics course and a fair housing course? I know you're going to love this answer. It depends. First of all, there's no such thing as the ethics course and the fair housing course. There are lots of different courses that could be described as an ethics course or a fair housing course. But whether or not you need them depends on, first of all, are you a North Carolina broker? And chances are the answer is yes, because you're watching this video and you're probably one of my North Carolina students. But it really depends on whether you are also a realtor. And not every broker you meet is a realtor. So whether or not you need to take a fair housing course or an ethics course depends really on your answer to this question. Are you also a realtor? Let me explain. All North Carolina brokers are real estate licensees. They are governed by the North Carolina Real Estate Commission. There are well over 80,000 different types of brokers in North Carolina. And every license year, North Carolina brokers have to take two separate 4-hour courses, and they have to do so by June 10th of every year. That's 8 hours of continuing education in total. Those two courses are an update, either the Gen Up or the Big Up, and it's really important to take the right one. You take the Gen Up, the general update, if you're a full broker or a provisional broker. You take the broker in charge update, the Big Update, if you are a broker in charge or you have broker in charge eligibility. So that's the first important thing to do to determine which update you take. And remember that you can only take these update courses live, which means in person or on Zoom. They are not available in a self-paced or on-demand format. The second course you have to take for the Real Estate Commission is an approved elective. Shouldn't be a problem since there are more than 500 of them, and these can be taken either live, on Zoom, or on demand. These are sometimes called self-paced classes. So those are your requirements for the Real Estate Commission. If you're listening to this video and you are a North Carolina broker, you have to take care of these two courses by June 10th. Now, as I mentioned, not every North Carolina broker is a realtor. About 50,000 out of 80,000 North Carolina brokers do subscribe to the National Association of Realtor and a state and local chapter. And you're going to know if you're a realtor because you write out a fairly big check every year to belong to that local state chapter and to NAR in Chicago. And that membership in NAR brings along with it a requirement that you take two courses every 3 years. Now, that every 3 years isn't 3 years from the last time you took these classes, but rather based on NAR's triennial calendar, as they describe it. It began January 2025 and it ends December 2027. So, in addition to what you have to do for the Real Estate Commission, you also have these two courses for the National Association of Realtors. What are those two courses? I'm so glad you asked. You've probably heard about an ethics requirement. And again, a lot of people are confused about this. There's no one ethics course or no one ethics requirement. There is a requirement by NAR that you take some form of ethics training. Now, again, this is only if you're a realtor. If you're not a realtor, you're pretty much done with listening to this video. But if you are a realtor, you have to take ethics training of not less than 2.5 hours of instructional time. And this course has to meet the criteria established by the NAR. Now you'll notice this is not a 4-hour course. It's a 2.5-hour course if you are taking one that is offered through the NAR. So this will not be long enough to satisfy the Real Estate Commission's requirement of taking 4-hour courses. It may be completed if you want for free on the NAR website. They offer a variety of ethics courses that will count, or If you want, you can take an online course or a classroom course via your local and state associations, and they usually don't charge too much money for some of those classes. Many of you who've been realtors for a long time know about this ethics requirement. Is basically a course on the code of ethics. That's course number 1. Course number 2 is a newer requirement by the NAR. It just started in 2025. You have to take, if you're a realtor, 2 hours of fair housing training. Again, the course has to meet the criteria established by NAR, but you can complete the course online for free on the NAR website, or you can take courses that are offered on demand online through some of your local and state associations. But again, these requirements for course 1 and course 2 have nothing to do with what the Real Estate Commission also requires that you take care of. Some of my students say, well, is there a way that I can combine what I have to do for NAR with what I have to do for the Real Estate Commission? Absolutely, yes, there is. Now you have to remember that one of the issues for the Real Estate Commission is that its courses, the elective course requirement, has to include a 4-hour course. So if you could find an ethics course or a fair housing course, like my on-demand self-paced 4-hour elective courses, then you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. That's an unfortunate expression when we're talking about ethics. We shouldn't be killing birds. But you could combine taking a course that meets the NAR requirement with the Real Estate Commission requirements. What would happen is when you take, for example, my 4-hour elective on fair housing and complete it, I'm going to send in the form to the Real Estate Commission, say that you finished your elective requirement for the year, and then you're going to take your course completion certificate and you're going to send it to your NAR chapter, whether it's the Raleigh Association, Piedmont, whatever the case might be. And then you will have completed that particular requirement. You could actually take a fair housing elective course and an ethics elective course in one license year. If you want to take care of your NAR requirements and just take care of them all at once, you could take 2 4-hour electives, and that second one would bank toward your next year of elective requirements for the Real Estate Commission. Let me repeat that. You can always take 2 different electives for the Real Estate Commission and bank the second one for your coming elective, for your coming license year. So you certainly could take, if you wanted just to kind of, while you're thinking about it, take care of NAR, take the fair housing and an ethics 4-hour course and be done with NAR, as well as take care of your elective requirement for the Real Estate Commission. Now, I want to caution you, NAR is very fussy about the content of the courses you're taking, and so is the Real Estate Commission. Not all ethics courses and fair housing courses are alike. So when you take a course, such as my fair housing course, or when you take my ethics course, know that both the realtor organizations in North Carolina and the Real Estate Commission have approved them to take care of their training and continuing education requirements. But if you're taking them from somebody else, it's always a good idea to double check and make sure that you are getting both forms of requirements met if that is your goal. As you might imagine, there are a lot of schools in North Carolina, a lot of organizations, a lot of teachers out there who have ethics courses and who have fair housing courses available. I would encourage you to talk with those schools and our instructors to make sure they're meeting your needs. But if you're interested in my on-demand fair housing and ethics courses, you can see the 2 website addresses here. You can go to debbietheteacher.talentlms, that stands for Learning Management System, talentlms.com/catalog, or you can also enroll at Realtor Courses debbietheteacher.talentlms.com. That will get you there as well. If you're wondering why I get so many calls and emails about these requirements, it's because the Real Estate Commission and NAR are on different calendars for training and for education. What you're looking at are license years. So for example, July 1, 2025 is when the Real Estate Commission's license year begins. It ends June 30th, 2026, and the very next day, you start a new license year. So license years go from July 1 to June 30th of every year. But that's not true that timeline is not true of the NAR, and NAR's requirement for completing courses is going to be different. So let's take a look, for example, let's take a look at these three blue arrows. June 10th is the last day you can take continuing ed. So sometime in this license year, you're going to need to take an update and an elective. And in the second license period, again, an update and an elective. And in this third and all subsequent years, you're going to have to take an update and an elective by June 10th. Don't forget June 30th is there as a reminder. That's the deadline for also paying your renewal fees. The NAR's requirement is every 3 years, with that 3-year period ending on December 31st, in this case of 2027. So you need to take a fair housing course and an ethics course for NAR. Okay, remember they have those separate requirements sometime before December 31st of 2027. So one of the things I suggested that you can do is, for example, let's say in this second license year, you decide to take my fair housing course, my ethics course. Those are 4-hour electives. You'll need to take a gen up or a bic up as well, but you've taken now 8 additional hours of elective. One will count for this 26-27 year, and the second elective you take, let's say fair housing the first year, ethics the second year, will count in this license period. My guess is this is still going to confuse, this timeline is still going to confuse a lot of people. So remember, whenever you have a question, I've got a lot of information on my website, debbietheteacher.com, but you can also email me always at debbietheteacher@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.